Those beginnings can be seen in organisms like volvox or stromatolites, where single-celled organisms come together to create an encasing village, if so to speak, and they live together in that village, each one on his own, but there is a higher level of organization which you can call a unit, which is the village. Now, once that kind of arrangement gets enshrined in whatever keeps it going, whether it's DNA or the way the DNA acts with the environment, interacts with the environment, then you can improve upon that arrangement with better communication in between the cells that are cooperating. And in order to move informational signals from one set of cells to another, now when sets of cells become more specific, then we call them tissues. But whether or not that happens, if you want to move information from one set of cells to another, you need a signaling mechanism, and by and large in the zoological world, when a biological signaling mechanism emerges, we call it a nerve. A nerve and a neuron is the same thing. Type of cells that mediate nervous behavior are the neurons. They do that by taking input from one side of the cell and firing output on the other side of the cell at different occasions according to the nature of the input.
And that actually paves the way to the organ we call the brain.
Oh, now, I don't know why there is a tendency for these controlling cells to accumulate in bundles. In the human organism, you have a very centralized brain. It is encased in the skull. It sends most of its signals out through the spinal cord to the peripheral nervous system. And it sits in a special cockpit, which is inside our skull. But you have other organisms which are extremely complex, like octopuses, which have clumps of controlling neurons which are not distributed all over. They do have a brain, but a lot of their motor wisdom is stored in large clumps of neurons throughout their body. So it's not zoologically ubiquitous to say that this centralized control that we call the brain always emerges. It often emerges. I'm not really sure why that happens. What is the advantage? Probably speed of processing. So as we mentioned in another chapter, one of the values which rises steadily throughout evolution is complexity. As organisms get more and more complex, their behavior has to become more and more complex. In order to exhibit more complex behaviors, you need to do more processing of more input before you display the behavior. For that, you need more neurons, and it's faster for them to be close to each other in order to get the right decision made in time in order to carry it out. We are talking about nerves and about the interaction between groups of cells in a multicellular organism, and we said that it seems that as behavior becomes more and more complex, you need more involved, more complicated computation in order to decide on that behavior in the finite amount of time that the organism has in order to carry out that behavior while it's still relevant. So if you perceive a fig and you reach out and pick it, if it